This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. Black Friday Game Day on Prime is an epic day of live sports. It all starts at 9 a.m. Eastern with the Capital One Skins game. Then, Black Friday football returns when the Bears take on the Eagles at 3 p.m. And it culminates with the final night of Emirates NBA Cup Group play with Bucks Knicks at 7 p.m. and Mavs Lakers at 10 p.m. Black Friday Game Day, only on Prime.
In Walmart's Huluville, everyone ready their cart. Amazing Black Friday deals are about to start. Online and in the app, such great deals to explore. Everything you love from tech, toys, and more. The days to save and the ones to remember. It's only the 25th to the 30th of November. Set your alarms. Don't miss out. These deals are epic, without a doubt. The Who's are all ready, but are you? Walmart Black Friday deals await. Who knew?
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With the all-new Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from good to excellent. Introducing the new Sleep Score on Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
Hey there, Duke fans. Episode 774 of the Duke Basketball Roundup. Oh, my goodness. Did we have fun watching that Arkansas game? Wow. It was just a hell of a contest. All the energy in that building. Jason Evans here with you. I'm joined by my buddy, Donald Wine.
What's that stuff that comes in turkey, Jason, that puts you to sleep? That's where we're at right now. Yeah. We're right there.
Right. It's 11 a.m. on Friday morning, the morning after, so to speak. Look, with all the Thanksgiving stuff, we didn't have time to record last night. I watched this one late. I turned my phone off. I literally turned my phone off. I did not want to see any text messages, any alerts from ESPN or anything like that. I was like, I'm going to see this one cold. My brother-in-law, who, as I've mentioned in the past in this podcast, is also a Dookie. Tim Kelly is his name. Tim and I sat down after we were done cleaning up all the dishes and eating all the food and all that other stuff, sat down on the couch and watched that game together. It was a great time. Man, Donald, before we get to the headlines or anything, I just want to say, felt like a Final Four game. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Just so much energy in the building and so much high-level play on both sides. We'll talk about it when we eventually get to the bad, but I mean, Arkansas was making some incredible shots. There was talent all over that floor. Tense, high-level test for Duke against a team full of elite athletes, elite playmakers. That's a really, really good win. And, Donald, I just want to say, there was all this talk coming into this game. You know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm going to say this now. There was tons of talk coming into this game that Cameron Boozer was a guy who's going to put up big numbers against bad teams, but that when Duke faced long, athletic defenders, that Cam would struggle. People were pulling out all these stats about, oh, look what he did against Texas, and oh, look at, in the Kansas game, there was all this stuff. Folks, cover up the children's ears for this next moment. Cam Boozer took all that talk that he's going to struggle against the long athletic type guys, and he dunked that shit in the trash can. He lit it on fire and watched it burn.
In front of his daddy.
Yeah, in front of his daddy. Yeah. Cam Boozer was like, yeah, no. The storyline that I only do this against bad teams is not a valid storyline.
Well, Jason, you mentioned this was a Final Four atmosphere. I kind of equated it to being like a Sweet 16 Elite Eight type of game.
Okay, fine.
Well, no. The reason why I say that is, it's in Chicago. It's a familiar place. It wasn't, completely full, but that's because it was Thanksgiving night, right? You're asking a lot of people to give up their Thanksgiving to do that. Only Detroit and Dallas people know what that's like, really. But I think also when you think about the back and forthness of it, the tightness of it for most of the game, even when we got out to a run, you kind of felt that Arkansas was going to come back, and both teams kind of played to the level of the moment, right? Being on national TV on Thanksgiving night, right after a big football game. I love the game. I still don't know what I watched last night. There was a lot of good, there was a lot of bad, but like overall, what I discovered about this team is that this team is mentally tough. And Jason, we talked about it all last year. Our Achilles heel down the stretch was we couldn't get baskets. We struggled with closing out opponents. We didn't struggle last night when it came down to it.
No, we did not.
So we learned a lot about this team that, hey, when we get into some close games, and this is what John Shire wanted. We get into close games. He wants our team to be able to respond to those challenges. And I think we did. I don't know how this bodes for the rest of the season, but hey, test last night, put the check mark next to it. Passed.
Exactly. All right, let's get to the headlines, and then we'll continue with this very interesting conversation about a fascinating game. I'm going to start, Donald. We got 2 headlines from first-timers, from folks who have never emailed us before. As a reminder, everyone is allowed to email the DBR inbox, dbrpodcast@gmail.com. That's the way to reach us. And by the way, the inbox was just,
it was full.
Yeah, it was very full last night. Dozens and dozens of sample headlines for this game. But I want to start with 2 new first timers. Maxie Molman. Maxie's a Duke 08 graduate. He said Boozer goes bananas as Duke raises backs in the Windy City. I like that. And Will Salon or Salon. I'm not sure. Salon, you think? Okay. Will Salon. By the way, he is a Fuqua classmate of Sam Klein, our former partner on this endeavor. So, Sam, if you're listening, your buddy Will sent in a headline. It was a very short and simple one. I love this one. This is a really good one. Like, even if he wasn't a first-timer, I'd be calling this one out. Caleb and Cam slam the ham.
See, I had another one from Will Salon. So I'll go with that one, Jason. Silence of the hams. Devils devour the pork on Thanksgiving. And Jason, one of the best ones I thought. I mean, like I said, we got dozens. This one right here, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you use alliteration. Josh Dill used Razorback Rally reversed by Rezube, which is Boozer backwards. That is incredible.
I saw that one. I like that one a lot. We got a lot of folks referencing the fact that the Razorbacks are pork. Mark Esselstein, Devil's pig out on pork for Thanksgiving. I really enjoyed that one. We got a bunch of Thanksgiving feast ones. Braden Watson. Man, this was really good. I love this one. He goes, Thanksgiving feast includes extra onions for Caleb Foster. Caleb Foster was extra onions for sure, as Bill Rafferty would say.
I have one more from Jim Blitch. It's not, like you mentioned, we had a lot of food ones. This was one that didn't really involve food, but he said, Arkansas shows more than a little rock, but Duke rolls on Boozer's back. I thought that one was really clever. Shout out to my dad, who's from just outside Little Rock. And so this game last night, watching with him was pretty fun because he's a big Razorbacks fan, except when they play Duke. And he was impressed by both teams in this.
The last one I wanted to mention was it's not a headline, but Preston Barr wrote to us that he was at this game. He took his son Jackson to the game for his birthday. Happy birthday to Jackson! A little shout out there for you, buddy. Preston said the crowd was pretty even between Duke and Arkansas fans. I just want to, hat tip to the Arkansas, and he pointed out the Arkansas fans had more energy, especially early on in this contest. They were making a lot of noise. It is pretty rare that Duke has one of these neutral court games, especially in a big city like Chicago, and the place isn't 75% Duke fans or so. For Arkansas to turn out the way they did, again, hat tip to their program and to their fans for getting folks out there for this game. I thought it was a good energy kind of crowd, like you said, felt like an NCAA tournament, an important NCAA tournament kind of game in terms of what the crowd was at and the level of play as well.
Yeah, I'm really, again, the crowd that showed up, it's hard to do that on Thanksgiving. It's hard to generate a game that's not like a tradition, right? Like, I'm a Lions fan. The Lions and Cowboys on Thanksgiving, that's tradition. Those games are going to be sold out no matter how terrible those teams might be. And trust me, I've seen some terrible Lions teams, but that building is full every Thanksgiving because that is tradition. To conjure this game and have it be the way that it was last night, I think bodes well. I know CBS is probably thinking, great, we have this Thanksgiving classic. We can start to make an annual tradition after the football game.
Yeah.
But for Duke, it shows that, hey, no matter where we go, no matter what day it is, we can draw a crowd. We can bring a good opponent in. They'll bring their fans in, and we can make this a masterpiece.
All right, let's start to get to the good. By the way, I just want to mention something kind of amazing about this game. This technically isn't the good, just a general comment. I thought Duke was 12 shades of awful in the first 10 minutes. We were just, it was not good at all. And I looked up and we suddenly led by 10 points. I was like, that, by the way, it's weird to say that's part of the good, but the fact that this team can look as bad as they did and play as well as they did, I was sort of like, wow. Sorry, not play as well, but have a lead. It shows you, I think, that there are a lot of things that this Duke team does well, sort of, that aren't things that you would really notice in a big kind of way.
It's great that you mentioned that, Jason, because this is my first good. Here it leads into that.
Yeah.
So observing this game last night, I found that we talked about how both teams really want to run, right? They're two of the fastest teams wise on offense in the country. But on defense, both of them are two of the slowest teams, right? They grind their opponents to a halt and make them run a half-court offense. It felt like both teams were very tight because they both wanted to run, but neither team was really allowing it to happen. The only time it was happening, Jason, was on those turnovers. Defense fueled both of those runs in the first half. That 8-0 run that brought us back to basically tied, and then the 10-0 run that gave us a 10-point lead, like the one that you looked up and blinked on. It was defense that fueled every single one of our surges. And I think when we were able to settle into the half-court defense, we were able to really stymie Arkansas and make them take bad shots, make them a bad decisions. You mentioned they made a few of them, and that's fine. But during these runs, it felt like, they were taking bad shots. We were only giving them one shot at it. We were getting the rebound, and all of a sudden we were able to run our offense and find a good shot. The defense was really fueling all of that. And I think this game really showed me that despite the fact, and the funny thing is, Jason, if you look at KenPom, our numbers are equal. Our levels are equal. The offense and defense are both ranked number 4 this morning.
Right.
Before, the offense was really outpacing the defense according to KenPom. The defense really leveled up to a point where it was fueling everything that we did positively. When we kind of suffered is where we kind of let them back in the game by not having great defensive sets, by not staying in front of our man, by fouling and doing things like that. It wasn't the trick shots. It wasn't the quirky shots that they were making that was leading them back into the game. It was us letting our foot off the gas defensively. But when we were pressing defensively, they were not able to get their shots off, and we were able to build a lead that way.
I was shocked to see there were only 70 possessions in this game because it felt like both teams were going fast. But you're right. There was good defense that was slowing down the fast pace. But I was sure there were a couple points in the game I was watching. I was like, this game's going to be in the upper 70s in terms of total possessions, because we talked on the preview, Donald, about the fact that Arkansas likes to play fast. Duke likes to play fast on offense as well. Our games are typically slowed down because we're slowing teams down on defense. And lo and behold, that is what ended up happening. All right. My first major thing in the good, usually we start with big themes. We're starting with a player. We already talked about him a little bit. How can you not start with Cam Boozer?
After the first 9:54 of the game.
Right. I was going to say, that's amazing. He didn't score it. He doesn't score in the first 10 minutes, and he ends up with 35. He had 35 points in 30 minutes. That's just crazy stuff. Crazy. He's the first freshman in Duke history. First, think about how many great freshmen Duke has had. He's the first ever Duke freshman to have 35 plus points in more than one game in his freshman season. And we're only 8 games into the season. How is he doing this? 35 points, 13 of 18 shooting. Like I mentioned, people were like, oh, he's inefficient. Oh, he can't score against long guys. Yeah. Let's just toss that out the window. Also had 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Donald, to me, the story of this game is that Arkansas decided not to double Cameron Boozer. They played him one-on-one. Now they had Trevon Brazile, they had Nick Pringle. They have good defenders, good, long, physical, experienced senior defenders playing against Cameron Boozer, and they thought that's going to be enough. We're not going to let Isaiah Evans get open for 3-pointers. We're not going to let Duke get those plays on the perimeter. We're not going to let them toss lobs to Big Pat, which has been, frankly, Duke's offense for the most part this season, because we've had teams doubling Cam, and that has created stuff for other guys elsewhere. And Arkansas said, we're not going to let that happen. And because Arkansas didn't let that happen, Cameron Boozer just destroyed them. It is not Cameron was not a ball hog. Duke was not a offense that only had one option. I've seen people with that take today, people who are like, Duke can't do this if Cameron Boozer's the only guy. Cameron Boozer was the only guy because Arkansas chose to play him straight up. And Cameron Boozer said, you cannot play me straight up. I will take advantage of that. I will go inside. I'll put 4 or 5 ball fakes on whoever's guarding me. Eventually he'll get out of position, and I will get a super high percentage shot out of it. It is, I don't know how folks can be critical of Cam scoring as much as he did when Arkansas was designing their entire defense to not let anyone else other than Cam beat them. So we let Cam beat them. I mean, that's just what happened in this game.
I will go back to that last point in the bad, because I think there are some things that we can work on with regards to Cam Boozer and the offense, not necessarily from Cam Boozer's perspective, but from everybody else. But I will say this, the one thing that I saw early in the game that was the reason why they said, hey, we got to just play Cam straight up. Jason, what was the first shot of the game that we made?
Big Pat 3-pointer, baby.
Correct. And when Big Pat hit that 3-pointer, something that I know was not they all looked like that was not in their scouting report, that he could hit that 3 from the corner. And all of a sudden, you mentioned the fact that they were going to stop the lobs. They were so focused on that, they forgot, oh man, this guy can hit threes too, or at least he's going to do enough that we can't cheat on him, right? So they couldn't cheat on him to double Cam. That hitting that shot set up later down the line where they go, okay, when Pat's out in the wing with the ball, we can't slough off of him. We have to put a man on him. That opens so much lane up, and the guy who's going to really double team on Boozer is the other big man, because they know a guard's not going to be able to stop him. So the great thing about it was Cam saw that and took that and exploited it. I thought they did a great job. He also was inside and out, right? He would get the ball in the wing, drive to the lane. He would get the ball in the corner, shoot a 3. He was running around like JJ Redick to find an open position for him, and they finally would give him the ball. It wasn't just cross half court, drop the ball to me at the top of the 3-point line and then get out of the way, ISO. They were running sets that Cam Boozer was working hard to get open. And when he got open and got the ball and realized that the double team wasn't coming, he was able to take his man to the cleaners. And I thought that was a great reaction, not just from Cam, but from the rest of the guys on the floor, right? When you play basketball and you have the guy that's hounding you, you're finding the open man. You're like, okay, if they're just going to leave big man down low open, I'm going to feed him the ball every time. And they were trying to stop. If you noticed, Jason, they were trying to entry pass to Cam because they knew once Cam got the ball in this game, it was a wrap. So I really liked the fact that we were working the ball around and sometimes even sacrificing assists, because we knew that if we could get the ball inside, that a lot of good things could happen. And Cam was passing the ball. He was grabbing rebounds. He's 2 assists shy of a 10-5-5. He had 2 steals. He dunked, he hit threes, he did it all. And it took a while for him to ease into this game. But man, once he arrived, he established himself, I think, Jason, as one of the best freshmen in the country. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. We're not talking in terms of best freshman. We're talking in terms of is he the best player in the country? I mean, that's
Mhm.
there. Hasn't I forget. I think it's Zion Williamson was the last freshman big man to be. I guess
Well,
Cooper
Cooper
Flag, if you
Cooper had
count Cooper.
42.
Well, I was gonna say they were talking on the broadcast about a freshman big man who's a first team All American. Like if you literally make the first team All American team as a power forward or a center, I think I think maybe Zion's the last one to do that. First team
Yes.
like first team AP because AP I think maybe does positions to some extent. In any event, doesn't matter. Regardless, Cameron Boozer is clearly establishing himself not only as the best freshman but the best player. Have you looked at the Ken Palm Player of the Year rankings?
I
He's
don't have to.
yeah. By the way, he's
But it's
not
there,
only is he
yeah.
not only is he number one in the country. Again, 7, 8 games into the season. It's still super early. But Ken Palm's Player of the Year ranking, which is done through statistics and things like that. It's not a eye test thing at all. It's only numbers. He has not only does he have Cam as the number one player in the country, but it's like not even close. Like Cam's number, there's a weird number they have that's in the Ken Palm Player of the Year. Cam's number is at 2.3. The guy who's in second place is at a 1.7. Like the difference between Cam and the second place guy is like the difference between the second place guy and like the 15th place guy. It's
Mhm.
like ridiculous. It's like there's one guy who, at least statistically so far, is just leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of the country in terms of the stats he's putting up, and that is Cameron Boozer. All right, because Cam was Batman, but there was a Robin last night for sure. And that Robin was Caleb Foster. And
Yep.
Donald, I'm going to tell you, coming into this game, if you'd said to me, hey, pick who's going to be Duke's second most important player in this game, pick who's going to be the guy other than Cameron Boozer that Duke's going to have to count on to score and get us to victory. And you'd said, start naming players. I probably would have gotten about 7 or 8 until I said Caleb Foster. This was a coming out party for CFOS. 15 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. He had 4 turnovers, and he had some bad turnovers. I'm fortunate there were many people in the house, so I was not able to throw stuff at the TV screen. He had some turnovers where I would have thrown stuff at the TV screen, but he was hunting his shot in a way that I've never seen him do it at Duke. He was making forays into the lane that were dangerous for the defense. The bottom line is CFOS made winning plays, and we just haven't seen him be aggressive and do that kind of thing in his Duke career very much at all. And I want to also mention his defense. I thought was just outstanding. There were a number of plays. Darius Acuff. When we get to talking about Arkansas, I've got a bunch of Arkansas stuff that I put in the bad technically, but it's not really that Duke was bad, it's that Arkansas was just outstanding. Darius Acuff, their point guard, is outrageous. He was the first guy I spoke about in the preview, Donald, as you'll recall. And I said, oh, he's this guy. He makes shots at ridiculous angles. Like you think that's a bad shot, then it's going in the basket. He did that to us again and again and again. I thought CFOS played as good a defense as you possibly can on that kid. He stayed in front of him. He made Acuff make extra move and extra move. And late in the game, especially, he shut Acuff down. I thought CFOS was great on offense and, as usual, was great on defense. Duke doesn't win this game without Caleb Foster. There's just no way around that, for sure.
My best friend said that we saw the duality of Caleb Foster last night. We saw sometimes where I was like, hey, if he better shot selection, then that's a better result. And then when he had great shot selection or great decisions, he made the best decisions on the floor. I mean, like just in the span of the 15 points and the 8 assists that he had, 8 assists. And again, like I said, it wasn't just him dropping the ball off to Cameron Boozer and watching him work. He was able to find open guys. He was able to drive the lane. There was that 3 with 2:50 left in the game where he had just missed a shot. And I told my dad, see, that's not a good shot for Caleb Foster. If he'd worked his way around, he's going to get a better shot. Like the shot selection needs to be there. And as I said that, he caught the ball in the corner. He took that sidestep and I was like, there it is right there. Boom. As he nails it. But he had some really clutch moments. throughout the duality of Caleb Foster, he had some clutch moments down the stretch, both on offense and as you mentioned on defense. A-Cuff, as they say in NFL and college football, he's going to play on Sundays, right? We're going to see him.
Oh yeah,
next year in the association.
Oh yeah,
but for Caleb Foster to kind of gather him up in the last couple of minutes and make him make bad decisions with the basketball, whether it's bad shots, whether it's again bad passes, whether it's just suffocating their offense when they were trying to push. I thought he did an excellent job at that, and we need that sort of Caleb Foster now. You kind of have to accept the duality of it sometimes, right? But Jason, would you pick Caleb Foster as the only person on this team with a 10.55 in this game? No, nobody would. I don't think Caleb Foster would. But he did. He had a 10.55 because he was all over the place, both on offense and defense.
Yeah, by the way, the final 14 points of the game were all scored by Cameron Boozer and Caleb Foster. That shows you. And I forget, they had 33 of Duke's 39 points in the second half. I mean, come on. Come, what are we even talking about here? Come on. Yeah, he was great. Look, another guy we got to mention. The guy who led the team in plus minus was Nick Khamenia, plus 18 on the night. Nick had 4 points and 5 rebounds. That does not sound like much. That doesn't even begin to tell the story of how impactful Nick Khamenia was in this contest. He just brought energy. He brought really good defense. Like his defense on Malik Thomas was really good. Malik Thomas, by the way, is another guy, like you say, playing on Sundays. That dude was just like, he had a 3-pointer from 30 feet. That was just like, as soon as he went up for it, I went, oh no, man, the Arkansas has some really good players. Nick Khamenia just seemed like he was in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing again and again and again. He had, with 6 minutes left, there was that play where a rebound, where Arkansas essentially had the rebound, and he went in there and tied the guy up and turned it into a jump ball that was favoring Duke, and as a result, Duke gets a three-point play from Cam Boozer to tie the game up with 6 minutes left, which doesn't happen without Nick. And Nick just did little things like that again and again and again when no one was playing well in the first half. No one. Well, Isaiah Evans maybe a little bit, but the Duke was just not playing well as a team in the first half. Nick came in, and he just brought energy, and he brought rebounding, and he just made things more difficult for the opposition. And Donald, we just have to say it. We'll talk about it more in the bad, but the final 10 minutes of this game, Dame Sarr couldn't get off the bench because Nick Khamenia was part of Duke's best rotation. There's no question that the best Duke lineup in this game included Nick Khamenia. You know, for a guy who probably came into the game as Duke's eighth man, at the end of the game, he was one of the top 5. There's no question about it.
You know, I thought at the beginning of the game, Nick Khamenia was playing with energy, but he wasn't playing with physicality and with strength. And if you notice, there was times he'd catch the ball and there'd be guys all over him. And he just couldn't figure out how to get the ball out of his hands to somebody else. That little engine kind of fixed that during the game. And as the game progressed, you could see him become stronger with the basketball. And because of that, he was able to make great decisions with the basketball. I really, like you mentioned, the energy, the defense was one thing. It's hard to lead in plus minus when you only have 4 points. Like, it's hard to do that. But he was able to engineer. And again, it's not like he had a ton of assists either, right?
Right.
He was just the guy that was setting up the guy that was setting up the shot. And he was able to do that on offense. He was able to, again, draw a couple of defenders sometimes. He'd take a couple of those jumpers from the wing, but it was enough to draw not one, but 2 guys into the corner, which freed up a bunch of guys. We had a couple of offensive rebounds based off the fact that 2 guys were out of the paint trying to guard him. And you had, basically Cam Boozer or Big Pat in the corner. Down low to kind of keep the play alive. Malik Brown had a couple where he kept the play alive. But I love Nick Khamenia's energy in the sense that he was able to kind of be what the team needed at the time. If you think about him playing, 29 minutes, Caden Boozer only plays 8. And usually that's reverse. because Caden Boozer is the guy that we usually have to spell Caleb Foster. Caleb Foster playing super well, and Nick Khamenia playing really well, kind of kept Caden on the bench, and as you mentioned, kept Dame Sarr on the bench. So I really like the energy, and I like the fact that his strength increased as the game went along because he knew that was what the team needed to win this game.
All right, so let's get to another guy that has to be shouted at. That's Big Pat. Like you said, he opens the game with a three-pointer. I was, I wasn't surprised at all by that. That's
No one was, right? Yeah, that was
That's
the play
that's exactly
how they run plays at the beginning of the game, like they show John Shine in the locker room, like here's the play we're going to run to start the game, and then after they kind of flow. I'm sure that's how they drew that up. Like Pat the corner.
I also love, by the way, his other three-pointer. Pat standing in the corner. And he took that three so fast. It wasn't like usually when Pat takes a three, it's because guys have sloughed off of him, and he sort of looks for a second. He's like, okay, let's just make sure. All right, this is the three-pointer that Pat took from the corner that hit the side of the backboard.
But finish the play, Jason.
Finish the play. Wait. He takes a three, hits the side of the backboard. He gets the rebound. He then had, I thought, a pretty wide open layup that he missed, but then he got that rebound and put it back. I was just like, that's the most Big Pat play ever.
No, so what happened was like he kind of slipped because he got the ball and he realized, wow, I'm really wide open. But he was so off balance because he felt like he was surprised that he was going to get his own rebound off the side of the backboard, kind of rebounding like that, and also be in a position to dunk the ball if he was had good footwork. But then he finished, he gets the rebound and just calmly tucks it in. You can see after that play that he was just kind of, had that sly grin, like, yeah.
He was loving it.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, it's just how I drew it up, right, coach? And everyone on the bench was smiling. Like you knew it was a fun moment for him. But again, it was a clutch moment at the end.
Oh, for sure. Look, Pat battled their big men hard the entire game. By the way, he had that absurd block shot in the final minute that sort of sealed the victory. Duke only had one block shot in this game. It was a memorable block shot.
Uh-huh.
I want to talk about just what Duke did on the inside because this was a major story in this contest. We out-rebounded them 37-29. Arkansas is a good rebounding team, and for Duke to get as many offensive rebounds as we did against that Arkansas club was not easy. We outscored them 25-10 on second chance points. When John Calipari sat down for his post-game news conference, one of the first things he said, they're talking while they're looking at the stat sheet. One of the first things he cited was he was like, they outscored us second chance points 25-10. In a game that very close game for Duke to outscore them by 15 in second chance points. Huge key to the game. By the way, I talked about, Duke winning the rebounding battle. We really won it. In the final 10 minutes of the game, at crunch time, in the final 10 minutes, Duke out-rebounded Arkansas 14-4. Final 10 minutes, Duke out-rebounds them 14-4. I mean, we owned the paint in this game, and that's where basketball is played for the most part, super important for Pat and Cam and Nick, who are the guys who are mostly down there. And Malik Brown as well. Yeah. Guys, those were the guys who were battling a really good, really big Arkansas team. And that's a major reason why Duke won this contest.
It's interesting that a war in the trenches, that being the paint, is what won this game. Because we talked to, in the preview, when you talked about the players, you talked about some of the big men that they have and how, they can be firmly fixed in the post. And we talked about how dangerous Trevon Brazile was, and early on, I mean, he still had 11 and 11, but he was quite dangerous throughout the whole game. And he had that one putback that, even Duke fans had to be like, yeah, that was good, man. But I think our paint presence, again, with our strength, with our physicality, increased during the game. Once Cam Boozer got going, and he was untouchable at a certain point. That helped everybody else. I think Malik Brown did a lot. I think, again, Big Pat did a lot, especially defensively. I didn't see this, Jason, because I was looking at the notes. I didn't see if they noted the deflections that Malik Brown had. But in the second half, I felt like he had 5 alone. Yeah,
they didn't. No.
Yeah, in the second half, I think he had like 5 alone, including one where he was guarding the ball handler at the top, like at 35 feet away from the basket. And they grabbed the ball, and I think it was Acuff, and he just slapped the ball in his hand like, no, sir. start over, start the offense over. That's not what we're doing here. Again, just enough to rattle Arkansas down the stretch. And I was surprised at how we were able to remain poised down the stretch with a bunch of freshmen who, and again, when we tried to push and when they tried to push, it felt a little sloppy and out of sorts for both teams.
A little bit, yeah.
But for us to hone in and say, okay, if the defense is only going to allow us to run a half court offense, let's run the best half court offense we can do and get points out of every single possession. We were able to do on the stretch and deny them that opportunity on the other end. That block by Big Pat at the end. They were celebrating the block before the ball went out of bounds. Like they were like it bounced off the backboard and they were trying to. So I think Caleb Foster eventually got it and got fouled. They were like the other guys were just celebrating the block. Caleb Foster had to wait a few seconds to get fouled before he could join them in the celebration. But that was just a massive moment to seal the game.
Want to really quickly just mention something about Isaiah Evans. He really kept us in it in the first half when there was very little happening on offense for Duke. He had 3 threes in the first 12 minutes of this game. He then had a little heat check 3 that he took, which
yeah, it was a heat check, and it was like
he came up like 5 feet short. I was like, that had to have been tipped or something. It had to be,
It was not. He took it from 40 feet in the corner, or like the corner of the half court set, and he took it. And you could see, like, as soon as he released it, he kind of turned towards bench, like, yes, that's my bad.
By the way, in this game, Isaiah was 3 of 9 from 3 and 0 of 1 from 2. The 0 of 1 from 2 was a ridiculous, unbelievable attempt at a thunder slam that the
would
rim
have
dunk.
ended the game. There would have been riots. It would have ended the game.
I love that he tried it. Even though he came up, I'm going to say about 8 inches short or so. But no, Isaiah had some big moments in this contest. Last thing I have in the good, I want to talk about our defense for a moment. Arkansas came into this game hitting 50% of their shots on the season, and Duke held them to 40% shooting. Duke is now the 4th best team in the country, number 4 in the country at 2-point field goal defense. We're really good at 3-point field goal defense also, but specifically 2-point field goal defense, we're just outrageous. 4th best team in the country at that. And Arkansas, which is a really, really good 2-point shooting team, just really struggled to find good shots against this Duke team. Arkansas came in this game averaging 91 points per game. They score 71. I think they're the first team to get 70 points on Duke all year. Arkansas typically scores more than 25 points per game on fast breaks. They only got 14 fast break points against Duke. The things that teams like to do, the ways that teams like to score, our defense says, oh, that's what you want to do? Well, you're not going to do that against us. And, as impressive as the Arkansas guards were at creating opportunities for themselves and making really difficult shots, Duke was forcing them into difficult shots. And in the end, that, like, what I noticed was partway through the second half, I was like, man, Arkansas is just making tough shot after tough shot. And I didn't write it down in my notes, but I thought to myself, but if you keep on taking tough shots, you're going to start to miss some of them. And the game turned when Arkansas started missing some of those really, really difficult shots they were making. But again, all this is credit to the Duke defense that was forcing them. That Arkansas got very, very little easy stuff against Duke, and that's how you win ball games.
I think the key stat was the fast break points. You mentioned they entered the game, 4th in the country, 25.9 points per game, fast breaks. That's a lot of points. If you're averaging almost a third of your points via the fast break, that's a big part of your offense. They ended with just 14. And what was the difference? It was 80 to 71. That was a difference of 12 points. And we beat them by 9. Like, that was one of the things that we were able to do. And our defense, what's great about it is it's not like we're just going to shut down the paint and make you win by 3. Like, you can hit good threes, but you're not going to get anything in the paint. It's not where we have one thing that we're good at or 2 things that we're good at. We're going to let you win in other areas. We, as you mentioned, go after the strongest part of your game and shut that down. And that could be different from game to game. So you may have a team that shoots well from 3, but can't get anything inside the basket. We can still win. Just like last night, yeah, they were decent from three at certain points of the game, but we effectively shut them down inside. We shut them down outside, but their fast break points, they couldn't get those easy points. And because they couldn't get those easy points, we had to make them earn it the hard way, and that they could not do against this defense.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to talk about things that Duke needs to work on, and it's a great mystery. Who will be the player of the game? It's actually not a mystery at all. We'll have that in just a moment.
We're only a few weeks in, and the season is already wild. Stars are going off, freshmen are making noise, and the action doesn't stop. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is where you can get in on all of it for pro and college basketball.
Yeah, and don't forget the holiday tournaments and the Emirates NBA Cup. Big moments, big matchups, and a whole lot on the line. Don't miss out. Jump in and bet on the action today.
So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DUKEBB. That's code DUKEBB. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. What do you bring to a holiday party? Simple, a bottle of Casamigos. Because nothing gets the party started like a Casamigos margarita, which isn't just for summer. In fact, it's the perfect pour all year round. Casamigos is the gift that always feels right, because anything goes with my Casamigos. Please drink responsibly. Imported by Casamigos Spirits Company, White Plains, New York. Casamigos Tequila, 40% alcohol by volume.
As a contractor, I don't pay for materials I don't use. So why would I pay for stuff I don't need in my mobile plan? That's why my Biz plan from Verizon Business is so perfect. Now I can choose exactly what I want, and I only pay for what I need.
Right now, with my Biz plan, get our best price, as low as $25 a line. Visit Verizon.com/business to get started today. New lines only. Price per month with 5+ lines. Includes auto pay and paper-free billing and promotional discount. Taxes, fees, economic adjustment charge. Applicable add-ons, prices, and terms apply. Guarantee applies to base monthly rate and stated discounts only. Add-on prices additional. Offers in January 5th, 2026.
Running a business means I wear lots of hats. Luckily, when it's time to put on my hiring hat, I can count on LinkedIn to make it easy. I can post a job for free or pay to promote it and get 3 times more qualified candidates. Imagine finding your next great hire in 24 hours. 86% of small businesses do. With LinkedIn, I can also easily share my job with my network. No other job site lets me do that. Post your free job at linkedin.com/achieve. That's linkedin.com/achieve. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we are back from the break here on the Duke Basketball Roundup. Jason and Donald, as we recap the Duke contest against Arkansas, this victory that Duke had. Donald and I will start with the bad, the things to work on with Mr. Cameron Boozer's free throw shooting and Nick Khamenia as well. Duke only hits 14 out of 21 free throws in this game. We left 7 points at the line, 66%, 67%. Now, I'm not saying Duke needs to hit every single free throw, but my goodness, Cameron Boozer missed. Cameron Boozer got sent to the line. The first 4 times he got fouled, he went to the line and he missed the first one. Every single time. It was driving me crazy. I was just losing my mind. And it's not that 67% free throws is terrible. Reasonably, like a decent free throw shooting team is going to be in the low 70s. So it's not like Duke was way, way, way below what you'd want. But man, in a really close game, it just felt like again and again, like you'd be like, oh, okay, we're going to the free throw line here, and we would miss a free throw. You're just like, "Grr." That's the only noise I can make for that.
No, it's interesting because they showed like Caleb Foster's only shooting 58% from the line this year. He hits one or two, but then he hits a couple down the stretch.
Yeah.
And down the stretch, sure, we were making those free throws, but you're right. Like in a very close game, you don't want to look back at the stat sheet and go, man, we left a lot of points at the line. And as much as we're going to get fouled, it's even more accentuated if you're shooting 67%, right? Because you're missing 7 free throws as opposed to like 1 or 2, like other teams might be doing when they go to the line. So yeah, it is something to clean up, is definitely something to work on and to concentrate, not just at the start of the game when you get fouled, but also at the end. It's hard. It's the most difficult thing in the world. It's not something where everyone just goes, oh, everyone should make the free throws. They're so easy. Nobody hits 100% of their free throws. And that's how difficult it can be. JJ Redick, arguably the most prolific free throw shooter ever, was hitting 96%, right? He would miss every now and then. So you have these moments where you just have to hone in and concentrate. And it may not be about the ones before. You just have to hit those 2 now because those 2 are part of that moment. And it's harder to do than you think, but these guys can definitely be in the 70 to 75% range. We would love 80. I think everyone would love 80. But if we're in the 75% range, we're winning almost every ball game that we come across.
Yeah, let me continue with the things that Duke needs to work on, things that were bad in this game, and I'm gonna go to the bench play. Caden Boozer only plays 8 minutes, mostly in the first half. 0 points, 0 assists for Caden. I had to double check the box score. I was like, wait, is that right? 0 points, 0 assists? Yeah. Caden Boozer, Donald, we have mentioned it consistently this year. We've been like, he's one of the guys leading the team in plus minus. He led the team in minus in this game. Posted a -8, a plus minus in 8 minutes of action. I'm not going to let this game, color what I've seen from Caden all year, which is a guy who's very, very effective and a guy who runs the Duke offense nicely and the such. But he struggled mightily in this contest. Really tough defensive assignment for him because he was matched up with Darius Acuff, who's just really, really good. and Caden, I think, struggled guarding Acuff. And I mean, the reason he only played 8 minutes was because Cephas was playing really well, but also Caden just looked like he was going to struggle to help the team in this game. Speaking of the bench, Darren Harris plays less than 2 minutes. And Duke struggled in those 2 minutes. Like it wasn't a strong 2 minutes for us. Duke just got 6 points from our bench versus 31 for Arkansas. Arkansas plays Malik Thomas off the bench. I still don't understand. I'm not quite clear on why they do that. If I had Malik Thomas, he would be playing 30 plus minutes a game. I don't quite know why Malik Thomas for Arkansas only played 26 minutes in this contest. John Calipari makes a lot more money than I do.
That's something for them to figure out, not us.
Yeah, exactly. But Duke's bench compared to the Arkansas bench, and bench is supposed to be one of the strong points of this Duke team. For us to get outscored 31-6, not good.
Yeah, there are going to be games where matchups aren't pretty for everybody, right? Like it's great to have 9 guys and go, yeah, every time we face somebody, everyone's going to be able to come off and do their thing.
Yeah.
That's not always going to happen, right? Caden Boozer had an off night. Darren Harris had a trillion. That we're not going to see many trillions from this team this year, right? Like that's not something that we expect from this team. So I take those as nice where, hey, the matchups just weren't great for them. One thing, Jason, that I saw from this whole game, and we've kind of talked about it during the good as well. Both teams wanted to run, and the defense just wasn't giving that option to either team, right? Arkansas wasn't giving us, we weren't giving it to Arkansas. But for us, we need to learn that sometimes you just got to back it out and set up the half-court offense. We were really sloppy when we tried to force the issue and tried to force a bad shot, or force a easy shot or a quick shot, force a pass. Arkansas just wasn't giving us that. And there were times where we said, "Oh, you know what? Like we're Duke. We can push through that. We can fight through. We can get this pass. We'll make this really difficult pass is going to get through, and Cam Boozer is going to catch it and be open for a dunk." It wasn't happening. And I think where we settled in is where we decided, okay, yeah, sure, let's go fast. But if it's not presenting itself for an opportunity here, back it out and let's run the offense. There was a couple times where I think Caleb Foster did well in getting the ball on the break and going, oh, there's nothing here. Let me just, back out. We have 25 seconds to set up our offense and run it. And we were able to get a better shot off of that. But when we try to force the issue, that's what happened in that first, 8 to 10 minutes of the ball games. We kept trying to force the issue. And I think we had 12 turnovers. It felt like we had 6 of them in the first 10 minutes of the going because we were trying to force instead of just seeing what the defense was presenting to us and saying, okay, now that we know what the defense is doing, let's back out and let's do the play that we need to do to exploit it.
You're exactly right. Duke had 6 turnovers in the first 8 minutes of this contest and only has 6 more over the course of the game. And very much when Duke would we'd get in these little flurries where we'd have like a couple turnovers, we'd get sloppy for a couple minutes, and Arkansas would surge. And then we'd go, wait a second, hold on. All right, let's find our footing again. And Duke would come back and Duke would surge. I mean, that was very much to me the ebb and flow of the game. We were really, really sloppy. We were super sloppy early. Terrible cross-court pass from Cameron Boozer at one point. Dame lost, showed loose handle at times. Both Cam and Isaiah early on took some, I thought, very ill-advised, very quick 3-pointers that were not part of the offensive flow. It just was not. It was not the kind of offense you want to see from Duke, especially like we say in those first 8 minutes or so. I do want to mention one of the reasons I thought Duke looked sloppy was because Arkansas did a really great job of frustrating our screening action. One of the reasons that Isaiah Evans struggled somewhat in this game to get going was that, other than he had a flurry, there's like a 4-minute stretch where he had a little flurry. But one of the reasons he struggled was that we typically run him off of screens to get him open. The way Duke gets Isaiah Evans open is we do flare screens and things like that. And Arkansas had scouted Duke really, really well. They knew where the screens were coming from. They knew how to jump them. Duke had several turnovers from passes where we were like, we threw the pass before the guy got there because we're like, oh, he's going to get there because we run this play all the time and there's going to be a screen that's going to get him there. And Arkansas jumped those screens and just got clean picks off of them. Where, we figured the guy would be open and suddenly we were throwing the ball right to an Arkansas guy who was right the other direction. Hat tip to Arkansas for really doing a nice job of scouting Duke and knowing where Duke was trying to run things. They frustrated our flare screens as much as any team I've seen all year against this Duke club. And we're in the need to work on time, but I'm telling you that's a good on Arkansas kind of moment that they had.
And the way to turn that into a needs improvement moment is we talk so much about how this team is going to have some offensive sets, but they a lot of times are going to go based off feel, right? And it's still early in the season. We still haven't completed November yet. But this team is going to get better at recognizing, hey, they're jumping the ball screen. They're jumping the screen, the entry screen right here. Let's wait a half second to see if we can get this pass over, because even if, Cam Boozer flashes out and he's covered, guess who's open? It's going to be some guy in the corner on the other side where we can swing the ball quickly and get another shot over here or get another opportunity to get a ball screen. So I think those sort of things is we just couldn't feel what Arkansas was doing. And again, that's credit to Arkansas and what they were doing defensively.
Yeah,
we weren't able to recognize that early on, and because of that, it led to some sloppy play for the first 10 minutes. I think once we settled, and I would also say, Jason, the first 4 minutes of the second half, we kind of reverted back to that. And then again, it took us a minute for us to settle in, and we had a time, I think it was the under 16 timeout, where we kind of, came to our senses and said, hey, look, we just saw a 10-minute or a 10-point lead evaporate because we were sloppy. Let's get back to the basics of what we were doing to build that 10-point lead. And then we immediately went on another 8-0 run, and we were able to kind of hold off. It was, difference of runs. We had one more run than Arkansas did because we were able to hone in on the offensive side of the ball. And then defensively, we were like, hey, let's shut down the fast break. Let's shut down the things they do well and make them take the bad shots that they've been forcing us to do down on the other end. So it was an ebb and flow, but that feel is still going to continue to grow as the season continues.
One other thing I have in the bad is Dame Sarr. We call it like we see it, Donald. We're going to be honest. Dame only played 7 minutes in the second half. Did you see the plus minus number on him in the second half? His second half plus minus. So he only played 7 minutes. His second half plus minus was minus 11. Wow. I mean, so the 7 minutes he played in the second half, Duke was minus 11. The other 13 minutes of the second half, Duke was plus 4. I'm sorry, plus 14, I mean. Dame really, really struggled to find anything he could do well. He got a couple wide open threes that he missed. I thought he was gambling a little too much on defense. It just, I mean, there's a reason that Nick Khamenia was the guy in there, because Dame just didn't have it at all.
I will say that, a bunch of my friends and I were texting, and at a certain point, one of them said, "This looks like the defensive lineup that John Shire wants in," and Dame Sarr was not on the floor. And so I was like, I hesitated, and then a couple minutes later, it was like, oh yeah, I guess this is a defensive unit right now, because I think there was, again, not every team kind of match up with every team correctly or brilliantly, and this was a bad night for Dame Sarr. It won't be the last bad night that he has, but he's going to have way more good nights, and I think his defense is still there. He's still kind of raw offensively at times. But he's going to learn. And, I think the one thing that I guess you flip into the positive is the growth of Nick Khamenia, right? Dame Sarr has been flourishing at the expense of a Darren Harris or a Nick Khamenia. This time it was Nick Khamenia emerging at the expense of Dame Sarr. So the fact that these guys are going to have these nights where one of them is going to shine bright and one of them's probably going to have to, fade to the bench a little bit, that's going to happen. But you want to make sure that you're consistent in what you're doing and not turn bad nights into a trend.
All right, I want to mention a couple things about Arkansas really quick. First of all, I thought Duke got a little bit lucky in this game. Arkansas missed some shots, especially in the first half, that I think they usually make. There were some threes that I was like, that's a wide open three, and they missed it. We got fortunate about that. There were some close shots that they made. Now, they made tough shots again and again, but there were also some slightly easier shots that they were missing, and I think that Duke got a little bit fortunate. I mean, part of that is Duke, but part of that is also Arkansas. I want to Trevon Brazil, I just want to acknowledge that rebound dunk he had where he caught it with one hand and shifted it to the other hand and dunked it all in one. I was like, damn.
Yeah, that was the one where Duke fans were kind of scratching their head like, hey, good play. Yeah, thumbs up from us.
Woo! That was a hell of a dunk by him. And then just a couple moments I wanted to make. I've been talking all about how great Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas were. Those guys are special. Just tough shot after tough shot. But I laughed out loud. So Malik Thomas hit that massive deep three to make it a 1-point game with just under 3 minutes left or so. And the next time Arkansas came down, by the way, Caleb Foster responded to Malik Thomas's three by hitting his own three-pointer. That was huge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, huge. To answer Malik Thomas that way was just massive. So there's under 3 minutes left there. We're getting close to the 2-minute mark. Duke's up 4, and Darius Acuff has the ball. And I was like, oh, he's going to do something stupid. And he tried to match Malik Thomas's three. Darius, you're great at driving the ball, and you can hit three-pointers. You're great at driving the ball to the goal. You're not Malik Thomas as a shooter. I said in the preview, Malik Thomas might be the best shooter in this freshman class. And Darius Acuff took a three-pointer that was such a bad shot. It was as soon as he went up for it, I was like, he's not making that.
It's a great shot. It was a great shot for us. I love those shots.
Exactly. Yeah, but that by the way, that deep three by Thomas was their last basket of the game. They got a couple of free throws, but that was their last basket of the game. At winning time, they were missing shots, and Duke was making them. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was, with 6 minutes left, the refs are in my bad. With 6 minutes left, the game was tied, and we trapped Darius Acuff. I want to say it was Khamenia and and Cam Boozer, it was, who slapped a trap on Darius Acuff, and he was stuck. And he committed a double dribble. 100%. It's not up for debate. They showed the replay. I used my DVR. I rewatched the play like 9 times. I was like, how is this not a double dribble? Because both Khamenia and Boozer had their hand, like when you're doubling a guy, you put your hands in the air. And Acuff tried to go low on them. Now, I think it's possible that maybe the ball got knocked out by one of their knees or something like that. Maybe, I guess. I don't know. But it looked to me like it was 100% a double dribble that did not get called. And then Arkansas, in the course of the scramble afterwards, Arkansas went into the backcourt. It was a clear over and back. Like the back, if any part of your body or any part of the ball is in the backcourt, you're in the backcourt. And an Arkansas guy was in the back, and they called a foul on Cam Boozer. I was just like, refs, what are you doing? How do you miss at a key tie game moment? They missed the double dribble, and then they missed the backcourt violation, and Duke got a foul instead. I was pissed.
And when that happened, right? Because they called the foul on Cam Boozer, but it was Carlos Boozer on the sideline who pointed out, no, he went over the line as soon as it happened, and they said foul on Cam Boozer, and like you see Carlos on the sideline going like, wait, that's not what happened. Because even if you look at the replay, like Cam beat the defender to the ball.
Yeah.
And he got the ball and he got tripped in the process, and then he gets a foul call. It was again a wild comedy of errors, but I was just like, man, like I thought it was a relatively clean game other than those 2 moments. And I was hoping that it wouldn't affect, and it didn't down the end. But yeah, like those 2 plays were pretty bad.
All right. Time for the play of the game, Donald. I'll let you go first. There were a lot of possibilities here. A lot of great plays.
A lot of great plays. The big Pat play, the block with 30 seconds left to seal it. Like I thought that was good. But the one that I have was just the quirkiest shot of the game, which was the pass shot by Cam Boozer with like 1:45 game, because it was at a stretch that kind of made the lead a little bit. It was like 8 points, I want to say. It was clear that he was trying to pass the ball to Big Pat on the other side of the rim, and he just went in. That was kind of the night that Cam Boozer was having after the first 9:54 of the game. But yeah, I love that play. I thought it was a crucial play. It was a crucial shot. But when it went in, you could see him kind of, he's very stoic during the games for the most part. But you could see him kind of crack a smile and say like, yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen, but I'm glad it did.
Okay, so my play of the game, I wanted to combine Batman and Robin. So I got Cephas had a moment. He just buried that 3-pointer with about 8 minutes left. And he drives the lane. And the defense all went with Caleb Foster because they were like, this guy, he was playing really well at that point. And he put like a little hezzy kind of thing on them, and it sort of froze the defense. And he kind of dumped the ball back over his shoulder for Cameron Boozer, who was wide open because the defense was paying too much attention to Cephas, and so Cam got a thunder dunk. I thought that was the play of the game, but man, there were just like so many possible plays you could have. You mentioned Big Pat's block. I kind of think Pat's side of the backboard 3-pointer.
That was a crucial play too. Yeah, that was also in the running.
Yeah, there's just so many plays that could have been there for the play of the game. Donald, it's time to move on to our player of the week. There's only one game to consider for the player of the week. Go ahead and tell me who you got, and then I'm going to give you an incredible statistical thing about the guy that you're going to pick as your player of the week.
I want to hear about the stat about Cam Boozer because that's my player of the week.
Here's the stat. In the past 30 years, in the past 30 seasons, there has been only one player in college basketball to have scored 175 points, 75 rebounds, 25 assists, and commit 10 or fewer turnovers while having an undefeated record. 30 years of college basketball. Think about how many great players there have been. Cameron Boozer is the only player in 30 years to get 175 points, 75 rebounds, 25 assists, 10 or fewer turnovers, and not lose a ball game.
Amazingly, this 8-0 start is the best start of John Shire's young career.
Yes. Yep. I was going to say, amazingly, It's the first 8 games of Cam's career. Donald, when we did the stats game, I was making some outrageous predictions on Cam. I said that I thought that he might be the most statistically dominant Duke freshman of all time. He may be the most statistically dominant Duke player of all time. The numbers are they're unbelievable. And I still can't believe the first question John Calipari in the press conference wasn't, why weren't you doubling him? Like that. If I'd been in that press conference, because I've been in a lot of, I think I would have raised my hand. I would have said, oh yeah, Coach Cal over here. Yeah. Jason Evans, Duke Basketball Roundup. Why weren't you doubling Cam? Can you explain that, please? I need to understand that strategy.
I don't. Again, that's for him to figure out. I will say this, Jason. Everybody, do this with me. Breathe in, breathe out. We got Florida in a few days.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Duke is in the middle of a crazy stretch. Donald, I know you wanted to mention there's a little bit of football to talk about as well.
Yes, obviously the last football game of the regular season takes place on Saturday. We're recording this on Black Friday. So tomorrow afternoon, we play Wake Forest. And again, it's a big game for Duke because we want to increase to 7-5. We want to increase our chances of getting to a better bowl game. But Jason, as I mentioned when we beat UNC last weekend, there is some math that we can do for us to get into or back our way into the ACC championship game. Now, what has to happen in all these scenarios? Duke has to win. Miami has to win. So again, root for the wine alma maters this weekend because that will help along the way. If both of those teams end up winning, if Duke beats Wake Forest, if Miami beats Pitt, an SMU loss, a UVA loss will get us into the ACC championship game. SMU loss by itself will get us in there. I think a UVA loss would actually make 1 seed, which is unbelievable considering the season, the up and down season that Duke has had. If those, for some example, if SMU decides to win and UVA loses, then we can watch this UNC-NC State game. If UNC wins, we're in. If NC State wins, then there's this thing called the Sports Source Analytics rating. We have to finish higher than Miami in that to make it to the ACC championship game. The first step is win, beat Wake Forest. It's senior day. It's the last game at Wallace Wade for the year. So let's go out with the win. And then wherever the chips may fall, we're still going bowling. So let's focus on that. And maybe, just maybe, Jason, on Sunday, maybe we might have some football to preview, whether it be a bowl game or whether it be the ACC championship game. Wild to even say it, but go Duke. That's the first and foremost thing. Beat Wake Forest.
I agree. I will be, regardless of how the chips fall for the ACC championship game, a victory over Wake is the thing that really matters to me in all of this stuff. Getting to 7-5 as opposed to 6-6, it's it's meaningful for the football team. This has been it's been a weird, wild season. I mean, for Duke to be as good as they've been in the ACC, I don't want to say bad, but it's been a frustrating non-conference season for Duke in football, which is just not usually what you see from a power conference team like this. But let's close it out with a victory for sure.
And the biggest thing, Jason, it's actually been a while since we've lost to a team from North Carolina. Let's not change that. We beat all 3 of them last year. I think it was the first time. I think we've held that. They have like a belt that kind of goes around from schools, whoever wins the state championship, so to speak. We've held that belt for a couple of years now. I want to hang on to that belt. We keep it by beating Wake Forest. So let's go ahead and do that.
I like it. All right, with that, we're going to wrap it up here on the latest edition of the Duke Basketball Roundup. We will be back in your feed probably Monday morning, I would say, or Sunday afternoon to give you a preview of the contest against Florida that's coming up in Cameron. ACC SEC Challenge right around the corner. Until then, that's Donald. This is Jason, and you're listening to the Duke Band playing us out and taking us home where we are still undefeated.